on the German military in the English press by associates of Lord Fisher, which led in Germany to fears that an imminent attack was coming. The British ambassador there, Sir Frank Lascelles, is summoned by the German Chancellor Bernhard von Bülow for an explanation, and upon returning from England, he gives messages from King Edward to both Bülow and Kaiser Wilhelm, which were summarily dismissed as lies, that nothing was happening. In a subsequent meeting on Christmas Eve, Lascelles kind of comes to the realization, oh, these guys are for real. They are afraid of us. Maybe that's something I better tell the king. So they send in a senior diplomat, Cecil Springer Rice, who firmly denies any hostile intentions. The Kaiser doesn't believe him. Fisher's deterrence policy succeeded because the Germans genuinely felt threatened, and the Kaiser felt the need to consult with military leaders about countering a potential British attack, in which they decided to start with taking over poor Denmark. That happened in the Second World War too. Poor Danes. But Wilhelm here, he is next to the last Tsar of Russia, sees an opportunity here to exploit Anglo-Russian tensions having to do with the Russo-Japanese War to keep the British out of the Baltic, for support for military action against the Danes. And these negotiations break down over the matter of the French, who were allied to the Russians and who Tsar Nicholas was not willing to keep in the dark about the Kaiser's plans. So the Kaiser and the Tsar meet off the island of Bjorko in late July of 1906. They talk, and the Kaiser manages to talk the Tsar into a defensive alliance, and this represents a threat to the continuation of Britain's policy of naval deterrence against Germany. The British government was about to fall at the time, so Fisher went right to the king. The king exerts his influence in foreign policy behind the scenes, as he was a known associate of Fisher's. He was felt to be the leader of an unofficial clique pushing a stronger foreign policy, and they come up with a two-part plan. They send the Channel Fleet to the Baltic Sea without the knowledge of the cabinet, which is a big no-no, even though the king is commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The cabinet hears about it from the press. The message intended for the Kaiser was that the British fleet could go anywhere, anytime, and in force. And part two saw the British Atlantic Fleet and the French Northern Squadron paying reciprocal visits to Brest and Portsmouth, because Britain wants to show its support for France. On the Portsmouth visit, the king gets out there in his naval costume to review the French squadron. He invites all of them up to Windsor Castle, which is quite a nice place to visit if you ever find yourself over there. The king requests that officers be awarded a higher level of decoration than was customary, and orders the British ships to fly a French ensign at the mainmast. And these little touches of the king's, again, the personal diplomacy he learns from years of doing nothing. And then once as king, he's really hit the ground running, as we've talked about. They went down well. The visit was a great success that achieved its mission, showing support for France. And in the interest of time, I will take your questions if you have any.